Cache-maniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome to the Geo Gearheads episode 405. Little bit different show tonight because I don't have my usual co-host, Chris of the Northwest, with me. Instead, I have my wife, Renee W25.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
So we've got a really fun, I think, topic to talk about tonight. One of our favorites, which
Definitely.
is why you're on. And we've brought Sven in from geocaching headquarters to talk about it. So Sven, welcome to the show first off.
Evening. Thanks for having me.
And why don't I let you actually tell people what we're going to talk about and then give a little bit of background on who you are.
Well, I think the shirt I'm wearing is sort of giving it away a little bit, in case you can't see it. So we're going to be talking about Giff, for short, or the Geocaching International Film Festival tonight, which is one of the projects that I have the pleasure of leading this year. But before we get started with that, a little bit about more about me. I've been working at HQ for about 2.5 years now, and when I'm not busy wrangling the Giff gnomes, I'm supporting the community volunteers, especially the reviewers and GeoOS out there, and specifically the web pages that they are using behind the scenes to help us all out being able to play the game that we love to play.
Excellent. And we do love the GIF event. We're very much looking forward to it. And we now know it is pronounced GIF, not GIF.
GIF.
GIF. As some of our geocaching friends like to say.
I've heard it all, trust me.
Yeah, it is a lot more fun to say it that way, but you know, we're going to say it the right way for the rest of the show.
We'll call it GIF.
We'll call it the GIF events. Quick reminder, though, before we get too far into the topic, that International EarthCache Day is coming up really fast, depending on when you're listening to it. It's either this weekend or next weekend. Or actually, it could be in the past, so you might have already missed it. But October 12th through 13th, make sure to find any EarthCache on either one of those days and log it to get your 2019 souvenir. I don't think we're going to get the chance to do it because we don't really have a whole lot of EarthCaches around here.
And we can't go away that weekend?
Well, we might be able to. It depends on what's happening. So
that's true.
I'm not too hopeful.
I got one sitting in my backyard still that I've been saving pretty much all year for when I need a.
Maybe we should go to Sven's backyard.
Yeah, I think we need to go visit your backyard.
Just a giant rock in West Seattle.
Just a little bit. Well, there is a sale on Southwest. Let's see if it works. Oh yeah, the scooters. That'll take a little bit of time. How far
and
can
a lot
we go
of recharging.
Yes.
It's like 20 miles is the maximum range. So.
And 20 miles, and it needs to charge for 8 hours.
Yeah, every hour we have to charge it up. So getting back to the Geocaching International Film Festival for 2019. And of course, we're going to have links in the show notes, but mark your calendars for November 7th through 17th. And there's going to be a list of the events out there. So first off, why don't you tell us about that list of the events?
Yeah, so the list is important both for you guys to figure out whether there's a GIF event happening near you already that you might be able to attend. If that is not the case, that's of course also an opportunity for you guys to maybe host your own this year. The list is public and is hosted on the Geocaching HQ account. And it's also linked to from the GIF website, which is geocachingfilmfestival.com. And it's also mentioned in a lot of the past and upcoming social media posts that we've done about it, blog posts that we've done about it. So there's a lot of different places where you can find the list. And the list is also the benchmark for you guys to ultimately see whether your GIF event was approved after you've sent it to HQ for approval.
And that's also what's going to tell you if you're going to get the souvenir for attending it, because if it's not on that list, it's not approved for the souvenir, correct?
Correct.
Correct. That is correct. So the way the process works is you create the event listing, you submit it for review. Your local reviewer is going to review it and ultimately publish it. And then you want to fill out a web form that with that event data of your Giff event that is available on the Giff website. That comes to me and one of my colleagues, and we're going to take a quick look at your listing, check that it actually takes place in the right time frame, that there's enough time for you to actually show the Giff reel, because if your event only lasts an hour and the Giff reel is already a little over an hour, and maybe you want some extra time for people to settle in and do some voting afterwards, we might reach out to you and say, hey, maybe you should make it a little longer. Little things like that. And ultimately, if everything looks good, we send you an email confirming that your event has been approved, and it gets added to the list that you guys mentioned.
Excellent. When is the time frame for the Giff events, and when do people have to submit the request for having an event?
So Giff
hosting an event
is taking place from November 7th to 17th this year, and that is actually a change to past years. In past years, we've always done only one Giff weekend, and we got feedback from the community that said, hey, if I can't make it that one weekend, essentially I've missed my opportunity. And so for this year, that's why we opened it up for weekends this year. So that's exciting. Hopefully we'll get more events and we'll get more people that get to join fellow cachers to see the Giff reel. As far as getting your own event on the calendar is concerned, you know that there's the 14-day submission deadline. So an event has to be submitted at least 14 days before it takes place. So the ultimate cutoff date is going to differ a little bit depending on when you want to host, but it would be sometime between October 24th or November 3rd.
So we still have plenty of time to get those in, but not that much time. And what are the requirements to actually host the event? You know, what kind of facilities is someone going to have to come up with?
So that really depends on what your end in mind is for what you want to make your Giff event like. We have people that are just sort of opening up their backyard and bringing their TV outside, or hosting people in their living room. We have people that rent a little space at the local library or some other community center and use a projector. And then we have people that rent out whole cinemas in the local towns and cities. And depending on that, the requirements of what kind of gear you, as the host, have to take care of might differ.
And what do they do for the playback? Because I assume you're not going to be like sending Blu-rays to everyone with the reel on it.
You would be surprised,
film.
Actually. I the other day received a request of whether we'd be making the film reel available as a DVD this year. So it does still happen, but
I think it needs to be in 70mm film then.
We're trying really hard, but that's become awfully rare, as you might imagine.
A little difficult to come by.
So from a technological standpoint, what we're going to be doing is the film reel is going to be shared out as a download link to event hosts, and it's going to be either an MOV file or an MP4 file, which should be playable by most modern devices. For the DVD folks, we do have a highly compressed file available that will fit on a DVD. You'll just have to burn that yourself. With that comes a whole array of subtitle files, which may not be as relevant for the US, but Giff is going to be aired around the world, and it's going to be important to have the right subtitles if you're hosting an event in Germany, Slovenia, Finland, you name it. And then for the movie theater folks, some movie theaters are going to be fine with the MP4 files. Others will need a special, very high resolution and large size file called a DCP file. So if you need that file, you're going to have a chance to let us know when you fill out the form to get your Giff event approved. And because that file is so large, to manage download volume and server capacities and that kind of stuff, we're going to only be making that available to those that specifically request it.
Okay. How many entries are there this year?
For the Giff event so far?
Yes.
We just hit, I think, 410 this morning. So, and they keep coming in by a lot more over the weekend, of course, but usually like 10 to 15 a day.
That's exciting.
So yeah, lots of opportunities. Though you think about that worldwide, that's probably not as much as it sounds like when you say, there's
That's
410 events.
Probably true.
So yeah, if there's not one near you, you still have the opportunity to host it or encourage someone else to host one.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, yeah. There's of course more cache dense regions than other regions, right? So especially in Europe, there's going to be a lot more than, for example, spread out over the whole US.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense and kind of mirrors what we've seen in the past with other types of events. Let's shift to the actual entries in the film reel itself now. We did talk about who the winners were, but how many entries did you actually get for the Giff this year?
So we got about 50 this year. I can actually tell you the exact number. We got a total of 54 submissions this year.
Nice.
And they came in from around 20 to 25 countries. I don't have that number right now from the top of my head. But yeah, a really international cast. And of course, there's always a lot of great submissions from very active communities, like the US community, the Canadian community, the German community usually contributes, a few of them. But what's always nice is to see submissions from countries that might not necessarily be on people's radar as prime geocaching destinations. Like this year, for example, we had some great submissions from smaller countries like Slovenia and Slovakia. We've had a submission from Finland again. We've had a submission from Brazil and France. We've always got some teams that submit from Spain every year that really are putting a lot of great effort into their submission. Yeah, really, really good stuff.
Well, in looking at the nominees this year, it really seemed to be a broader representation of the community than I ever remember before. I have no data to actually back that up, but just it seems like there's at least more countries represented than we've ever seen in that actual reel. Yeah,
I think that's probably true, especially those smaller countries that I mentioned that have really grown over the last couple of years, and where with that growth in the general game, people became more aware of fun occasions like Giff and got inspired by past years of Giff films to submit their own roll clips this year. And for some of them, there was the big surprise of, hey, you actually made it into the final reel.
Great. When do people have to turn in their submissions for?
Actually, we should say, when did they?
When did they have to? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So the film submissions form this year opened on June 1st.
Okay.
And then was open for a total of 2 months. So June 1st to August 1st. So all of June and all of July.
Okay.
And we received some great submissions already early on where people had spent all year prior filming it and were itching to send it in as soon as the form opened. But at the same time, there's also a lot of submissions that come in very last minute because people are still tinkering on their clips until the very end. And so during the last week before the form closes, there's also always a high season in terms of submissions coming in.
Is there a theme that people follow?
Yes and no. So in 2017, we actually provided a theme, which was the art of geocaching, and that's when these lovely Giff gnomes started making an appearance. The last year and this year, we have not provided a theme for people, just because that way everybody can put more of their own creative spin on it, and there's not as much limitation by sort of the context that we provide. We found that that was more successful. But the variety of topics that are covered in the different film submissions is just as diverse as the game itself. None of them is the same, and the fun thing about them really is that all of them are relatable to some extent, which is what makes for all those great laughs when you actually watch it.
Absolutely.
So are there any trends that you've noticed looking at the reel this year?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, right? But one thing that I have noticed is that people include a lot more humor in their clips. Like, it used to be very much about the competitive aspects of the game and like FTF hunts and that kind of stuff. And over the past year already, but especially this year, people not taking themselves too seriously and kind of looking at some of the odd things that we do while playing the game really lightens up a lot of the content.
That sounds like it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. You can get an actual sneak peek at what you might see down the road in the coming weeks. Specifically, if you're a premium member, you might want to check out the newsletter on October 15th. And if you're a basic member, you'll have to be patient for 1 week longer. But October 15th and October 22nd, stay tuned for the release of the teaser trailer.
Exciting.
We'll definitely keep our eyes out for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a People's Choice that I remember from prior years. Is that going to be happening again this time?
Yeah, so last year, that's the thing that we introduced last year. The way that the awards work in general is that we have the Signal Award, which is voted on by the community volunteers. And then last year, we also introduced a Public Choice Award. And for that, we posted a note on all Giff events linking to a survey where people, after viewing the film reel, were encouraged to take to that survey and cast their vote. And we're definitely planning to make that happen again this year. So excellent. Closer to the actual event dates, you'll see that note coming in very likely.
Very nice.
And that was something that a lot of the individual events had been doing beforehand. And then it's turned into this official contest now where there is actually something for the winner of that, if I remember.
Yeah, that's correct.
And of course, there is the official winners of the event, which I believe you've already selected.
So the voting is still ongoing. The voting is actually going to close in a couple of weeks' time also. October, towards the end of October is how long the community volunteers have time to watch the clip.
So sorry. There's a panel of voters who are voting on this?
Yeah, so that's going to be a panel of reviewers, community volunteers, who we put out a poll within the reviewer community. Would you like to watch this and vote who you think captured the spirit of geocaching the best? And this year, I think we have almost a third of all reviewers worldwide that signed up.
Oh, wow.
That's an impressive number, really.
That is.
And I assume you've seen it a few times. I have a hard time sometimes picking out which one I want for like the first place, or usually it's even worse. It's, which one did I like second best? So have you been flip-flopping a little bit after watching all of the actual submissions?
Yeah, it's a tough choice to make, really, and this has become increasingly difficult because over the years of Giff, I've been part of Giff for a total of 3 years now, and this year is the first time that I'm leading it. I was supporting it in the 2 years prior, but the average quality of the submissions that we have received has just increased over the years steadily, and so there's no bad submissions anymore where you're looking at it and you're thinking, I wish they had used a tripod or something like that. Everything that you see and the examples this year that are going to end up on the final screen are also going to stand for that. Even though it's still an amateur film festival at the roots, it's really picked up in quality. And so that, of course, makes it more and more difficult to pick and choose. And that's why I'm fortunate that I have a really good cast of people around me that I can turn to and where we can make a decision across a broader group of legends.
All right. I think that's kind of the, I'm not going to tell you what I think
That was
until
a
it's
very
actually
diplomatic answer.
but we did have a question from Limax in the live chat as to whether we are expecting any travelogues again this year.
Travelogues meaning people
They-
that documented their travels and turned that into a movie?
More the, my city is cool for geocaching because kind of thing. I think the last couple of years there's only been one in each, and they were interesting to
They
watch.
were.
There's gonna be a clip in there that will make you excited to go to a particular place to go caching. It's not a travelogue per se, but it will have the same effect.
All right. Now, getting back to the actual submissions themselves, what were the guidelines for the actual submission?
So the submission guidelines are that whatever you're showing will have to adhere to the usual geocaching guidelines. So it has to be family friendly. The caches that you're going to be showing in your film will want to fulfill those guidelines. So if you're going to show that somebody buried a cache and you're gonna highlight that in your film, maybe you want to pick a different cache, right? Same with fight scenes and that kind of stuff. Is that necessarily family friendly? Probably not. Simple things like that. And otherwise, we're trying to keep it pretty open. Another big thing is probably having all the rights and licenses to what you're submitting. So if you want to use background music or if you want to cut in short snippets of other media, make sure that you actually have permission to use that media content. And luckily, that has become easier over the years with great free audio databases that offer common access type media.
Yeah, a lot of good public domain stuff out there and Creative Commons stuff. But even like the logos on T-shirts, as I recall, have been problems in past years.
Yeah, so commercialism is one of the things that we look at. If somebody if somebody wears a logoed shirt of insert generic brand X here, right? and it's going to be in full focus of the clip for an extended period of time. That might be an issue. If you barely see it and it's just whizzing through the screen in the blink of an eye, probably less of an issue. So be mindful in what your cast is wearing, and keep it plain and simple.
And then what about the length of the clips?
So that's probably the most strict rule that we need to enforce, and that's going to be 4 minutes. So you have 4 minutes. You don't have to use the full 4 minutes, but as soon as it's 4 minutes and 1 second, it's out. And while that might seem arbitrary, we had to draw the line somewhere, essentially.
Yeah, and 4 minutes is a lot longer than you might think if you're actually producing a clip, especially if you're actually doing it well.
Right.
Yeah, if you're just like leaving the camera roll like kind of like we are, you're going to break 4 minutes in no time flat, but that's not going to make a good clip in a film festival like this.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes short clips in what they show are actually super effective in their use of the time and manage to capture a strong message with very little, whereas other clips require a little more time to kind of develop a story. But that at the end comes down to your artistic choice and artistic freedom as the filmmakers. What's the story you want to tell? How do you think you can best get that message across? And we have clips ranging from, I think, 2 minutes to the full 4 minutes this year. So really a good width there.
And it is a good gauge for people in the bulk of the world. Your average television commercial is under 60 seconds. They're usually either 30 or 60 seconds. So it gives you an idea how much of a story you can tell in that little time.
Exactly. And you can, I mean, now that we've been doing Giff for a couple of years, you also have all the past years' clips and film reels available to get inspired by what you found appealing, what you maybe didn't enjoy as much, and take inspiration from that.
Yeah, and it's probably a good thing if you're seriously looking at doing a submission to go to these events and see what resonates with the audience and what wins the people's choice and what wins the official volunteer voting.
Exactly. And speaking of votings again, while we are having the Signal Award from the volunteers and while we are planning to have the public vote, everybody that hosts their events is, of course, more than welcome to have more of an event-specific voting, and then let whoever they chose regionally let the filmmaker know and share the love with them, because that's always appreciated from their side.
Yeah, and that's a lot of fun to do too. It's a little tough for most of the hosts to do at the event, but if you can do it while you're there, that makes it even that much better. But most of the ones that we've been to, it's like a week or two later, and it's kind of funny because half the time it's like we don't even remember what we voted for by the time that comes in.
Wait, which one was that one?
And then it sparks a whole nother discussion about the film festival and which ones we liked and didn't like,
and then go back and watch them again as soon as they're available.
Yeah, if we can find them on, and I understand they're posted on YouTube for the previous years.
Exactly. So we make them available on our YouTube channel, which if you just search for geocaching on YouTube, you'll probably find us. The past years' film reels are there in full, and of some of the earlier years, you may even find the individual clips, because that was still in the block party days when Giff first started, and when the full film reel was only on Vimeo, and we screened it that way.
And so in the horrible chance that somebody could not make it to any GIF event anywhere, when might they be able to view the submissions?
Usually around the time that we announce the winners, we're also going to make the film reel public on our YouTube channel. And that's usually a week or two after the official closing of the last Giff event, especially now with the public vote, of course, to also give people a little bit of time to vote after the fact.
Sure.
And getting to the production, a lot of people I've talked with who actually plan submissions do start planning like now for the next year's event. Is there any insight that you can give people as to next year's submission? Is there going to be a theme next year, or are they still good to just kind of plan something they think is going to be interesting?
Chances are that we're going to keep it pretty open again. The other part of the equation is that next year is going to be a pretty big year altogether, right, with the 20-year celebration. And so there's also a lot of focus that will have to happen around that. So I can't fully speak to what the reality of Giff is going to look like next year.
And that actually leads into the next question I was going to ask. Is it going to be earlier next year? Because the big events happening in Seattle area are a little earlier than the Giff event typically has been.
Time will tell, I guess.
So maybe if you are going to do a film for next year, you better have it done in time for the block party, or not the block party, the celebration events.
Yeah, the 20-year celebration is still a lot of work in progress, but it can never hurt to be prepared. Right?
And if you're like most true artists, you'll be editing all the way to the submission deadline anyway, because you're never happy with your own work.
Of course.
All right, Sven, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Is there anything else that you want to hand out before we go? Maybe at least tell us where we can find more on those Giff events.
So stay tuned on our social media. There's going to be continuous announcements raising awareness for Giff up until the event dates. There's going to be newsletters about it, blog posts, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. There's also a bunch of stuff out there already that we released the last couple of weeks and months. So the information you might be looking for might be in there already. Okay. And otherwise, I just hope that people get excited for Giff and are going to see whether there's an event near them. And if not, again, maybe to this year's your turn.
Excellent. On a fun note, so besides the coins that come available, is there going to be any Giff merchandise if people really would love to have some?
Absolutely. One of the pieces I'm wearing right now. So we're having Giff t-shirts again with the movie ticket artwork this year. And
we have the coin as well for people to discover in this week's show.
Perfect. So then you have the coin. The coin actually comes in different flavors or sizes, if you want to say. So you have the big coin. We have a little gnome. We have a little pendant again. And of course, we have patches and stickers, which are always a favorite.
All right, I'm going to really put you on the spot now. You ready?
Sure.
What is your favorite Giff snack?
I'm a popcorn person, honestly, but as a European, I don't like salty popcorn. I grew up with sweet, and so I'll have sugar popcorn all the way.
Oh, there you go.
That sounds wonderful.
All right. Thanks again, Sven. It was really great getting the info from you, and we're looking forward to finding out more about next year's event as well. So we'll have to have you back on for that one.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, you guys, and happy Giff.
Happy Giff.
And then next week, we're going to be talking about GPSR selection. So make sure to tune in for that show. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, anything that you're considering and want to toss around on that show, make sure to get those to geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com by Wednesday so we can actually fit those into the show.
All right. And check the Cache Maniacs. Let me try this again. I'm sorry. Check the Cacheomaniacs website at cacheomaniacs.com for more info on the GeoGearheads, including show notes and for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads at cacheomaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cacheomaniacs show coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cacheomaniacs shows. GeoGearheads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. This show is copyright 2019 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.